ụwa sọtụrụ eze ebube dị ngọzi. Anyị wee na-asị na anyị enweghị chi ọzọ ewezụga anyị anaghị efe arụsị, anyị anaghị akpụ isi ala wee nye arụsị eze ebube dị ngọzi. Ọ bụ naanị gị bụ Chineke nna, onye kere ihe niile kere ka eze ebube dị ngọzi. Anyị wee na-eje gị mma, wee na-eto gị, wee na-agọzi gị, na-asị gị eze ndị nsọ. N'ụtụtụ a ka ụmụ gị gbakọrọ n'ụwa niile wee na-ege okwu nsọ nke gị. Anyị wee na-arịọ mmeso ọma gị n'ime anyị niile n'otu n'otu, ka i wee gọzie ezinụlọ anyị, wee gbaa anyị ume ma nye anyị ikikere, ọbụladị ndị eji echi, ọbụladị ndị pụtara ka ha wee mee njem onye nwe m na Chineke nna nke igwe. Ọdachi niile dị iche iche site n'aka ndị iro wee dakwasị ndị dị etu, anyị wee na-arịọ gị ka i wee zọpụta anyị, onye nwe m na Chineke nna eze ebube dị ngọzi. Ọ bụ onye nwe anyị bụ ndị tụrụ ugo. Anyị wee na-arịọ gị ka iru gị wee chaa n'ebe anyị nọ, ka iru gị wee chaa n'ebe anyị nọ, agbanyeghị na anyị nọ n'ime ọchịchịrị, ka ịhụnanya gị n'okwu ọgbandụ gị n'isi anyị wee bịa na mmezu, ka Biafra wee bịa na ndụ na-abụghị n'ọnwụ. Onye nwe m na Chineke nna nke igwe, na ikwere anyị nkwa n'ime afọ anyị nọ n'ime ya na ị ga-alazu n'iyi, ịmalite gowo nna nke ebere nkwa nke a ka ikwere n'ime ndụ anyị. Anyị wee na-arịọ gị eze ebube ka i wee metọpụ ya, ka Biafra wee bịa, ka anyị Ise, in the language of heaven have I prayed this very morning. As I was saying yesterday before, I was rudely interrupted by a combination of the forces of darkness and of iniquity, which we have prevailed and overcome this very morning. I did say yesterday that should the zoo attempt to shut down the internet as they were planning to do, as carried by Guardian newspaper, that I will order IPOB. I will order IPOB onto the streets of the zoo and Biafra land, and in fact the whole world, to ensure that we prevail. This very morning I continue on that very news. We shall continue on it, because we gather that people are not backing down, which is a very good thing. I would not expect them to back down. I expect everybody who is participating, everybody who is making every valid effort to sustain this series of protests must continue to do so until the reforms they have promised is totally enforced and in place, not replacing SARS with SWAT, not replacing, or should I say, pouring an old wine into a new bottle. What we want is to make sure that what the brave demonstrators are asking for is acceded to and implemented verbatim. No circumventing it, no shortcut whatsoever. 6 days ago, a video of a fatal police shooting of a young man sparked outrage and reignited a public call for the total dissolution of the controversial police unit SARS in Nigeria. The video caused large numbers of people, including celebrities and politicians and activists, to call for justice using the hashtag of war on SARS, End SARS, and SARS Alive. Drunk. Because we understand that some people are going about saying, oh, they are the conveners. They have convened End SARS now. That is rubbish. People have been harboring this very intention from the word go. But the word revolution was too strong for people to understand. The word revolution portends, or should I say, connotes a lot that people were not prepared or willing to deal with. That was why they chose End SARS, which an ordinary person can understand on the street. That is the fact of the matter. Anybody coming out and saying that they are the convener, they are the leader of this very revolution that is going on now, that person is drunk, that person is mad, that person is deluded. What I'm reading for you is what we gleaned from Guardian newspaper, because they are the ones reporting that the zoo was contemplating shutting down the internet. And allow me to repeat this very morning, if they try that nonsense, I will unleash the might of IPOB on the streets of the zoo. They are not well. The protests against the police have largely been organized on social media. It has been organized on social media, not by that this very protest must end, that person needs to see a psychiatrist because they're not well mentally. This is a spontaneous uprising. It was not organized by anybody. People are fed up with the police brutality, fed up with army brutality, fed up with what is going wrong with the zoo, and they have decided to rise up and to speak with one voice, and that is what is happening right now. Because this protest is being organized on social media, fueled by citizens sharing the experiences of police abuses and videos of brutal incidents, including the beating of civilians and the firing of live ammunition at protesters. The campaign moved from social media to the streets of Nigeria. It's as simple as that. Moved from social media to the streets with protesters demanding an end to the rogue police unit and wholesome police reform. However, the protesters are not relenting. Despite the dissolution of the notorious police squad, how can they stop protesting when this is a government that recruits terrorists into the army and into the police? So the mere fact that a Fulani man will come out and say, oh, we have dissolved SARS. Because of that, everybody should go back and sleep. The same SARS that they have dissolved 4 times in 4 years and nothing came of it. That is why there is need for people to remain on the streets until there is wholesome implementation of all the demands of the people. That is how things are done. They just don't say, come out and promise you, oh, we are going to dissolve SARS, and then you go back home and sleep. And the same monster will rear its head again, even in a more sinister way. That is why we are saying no to that. People must remain on the street. The protest must continue. It must continue. If you want to see a change, the protest must continue. You must remain on the streets. You must come out every blessed day and be able to sustain it. If you don't know how protests are organized in other parts of the world, please, Mali is a very simple and recent example. That is how it is done. You will remain on the street until they accede to your demand. Once you go back home, they will simply move SARS to SWAT, which they've had for many years as well, and then the killing and the mayhem and the Janjaweedism will continue. Therefore, people must remain on the streets. People must remain on the streets. We know that some people have gone, collected money from the zoo government, collected money from politicians and so-called millionaires who are in essence criminals and kleptomaniacs. What we need to do, what people will need to do is to remain on the streets until all the demands are met. Once you go back in, it is impossible. Once you go back in, you can no longer build this momentum again. You cannot build it again in this life. This is the once in a lifetime opportunity to let the world understand that what is happening in the zoo is unacceptable. Now is your time to demonstrate. Now is your time to prove it. And your resilience is what is going to count in the end. You must remain resilient. You must remain resolute. You must remain determined. I am telling you, if you go back to your houses, if you go back to your homes, if you fail to come out every blessed day to protest, believe you me, you can never have this opportunity again. Never, ever again. That is why it is important for the zoo to understand that we are standing by and watching. We are standing by and watching. This very critical mass movement does not belong to anybody or a group of people. Any idiot claiming ownership of this spontaneous uprising of people's anger and frustration should be stoned wherever they are found. We have seen them on the screens of television. We have heard them write and we have heard them speak. People are suffering. People have been suffering for years. The same generation of people that wanted to implant their cowardice in us, they have failed. The same generation of people that call young unemployed youths unemployed touts are the same people that failed to create employment for their children. They are the people who are responsible for the state of the economy, for the dire straits in which people are finding themselves today in the zoo. These are the same people telling us that we should not protest. These are the same people telling us, oh, we fought a war and we lost. These are the same people telling us that some thugs can be paid 1,500 naira to go and disrupt peaceful protests. We are saying to all of them that they have failed. That era of telling us garbage and nonsense all the time has come to an end. Let me make it abundantly clear for the whole world to understand that when the white man was living, the white man had universities, they had schools, they had employment opportunities for our fathers and those before them. But once they took over in 1960, they made life miserable for everybody. The white man provided employment for all of them. They went to school, they graduated, they came out and they found jobs. But when they took over, people graduate these days, there are no jobs. The same people who are responsible for making sure there are no jobs, for making sure there are no factories and no industries, they will come out and open their mouth and say that the youths are lazy, that they're doing yahoo yahoo. I don't understand this. These people are failures. They are failures. These same people who claim that they are our fathers, they are our grandfathers, we know what we have sat down and seen. You cannot see when you're standing up. They are failures. All of them are failures. They are Faniferes of this world, the Johanneses of this world, the Pandev of this world, Arewa Consultative Forum. They have all failed. These are the same people asking you now to go back home and not to protest anymore. They are the people that failed to provide